Coach, obviously a season opening win today. Just kind of give us your first impressions about tonight's 6-point win at Arizona Christian.
Glad we won. For the outside folks, and I'm sure plenty of our fans, it was too close for comfort. Probably not excited about the margin of victory, which certainly we understand. I knew going into the game that they were a formidable opponent. You know, I talked to, I was blue in the face to our guys about what a quality basketball team this was. They were older, they were experienced, they were very well coached. I knew they'd be prepared. I knew they'd have a Super Bowl mentality with Division I team coming in their barn. I just don't know how often that happens across the country. I've never been a part of it. I'm not sure if anyone else has. But I was confident that, you know, we were older as well and could handle that distraction and understand how hungry these kids were going to be. And I don't know. I just, the game unfolded the way it did. It was choppy at first. We had some silly turnovers, some bad, poor shot selection. And then they just kept fighting and scratching and clawing. And, you know, we were up 8-10, I think, 12 maybe in the second half. And then they made some shots and they got real confident. And that's the worst thing that can happen if you're trying to beat someone is them to feel really good about themselves, which they did. And, you know, I think in the end, it's going to be really good for us. I think in the end, you know, we'll have so many teachable moments tomorrow. And for a long time from this game where we can really learn from it, and everyone's experiencing it. You know, there's a lot of upsets across the country. You know, in most years, you know, non D1s beat D1s in exhibitions or real games, and certainly we're glad that you know, we weren't a part of that scenario. But you know, there was a lot of rust for us, and but you got to give them a lot of credit. You got to give them a lot of credit. They really competed and put themselves in position to win the game. And fortunately, we made some plays down the stretch.
Yeah, Coach, so I was going to ask you, just talk about the older guys that stepped up there at the end to help, you know, get the W tonight.
You know, Johnny was pretty quiet from where I sat for the majority of the game till late. He made some nice plays late to help us you know, get a margin of victory, but I'm disappointed in, you know, a lot of his minutes up until then. I thought his 2 threes were poor selection of shots, and he just wasn't aggressive enough. We need him to be more aggressive. You know, Jabari Rice and Clayton Henry, you know, they're warriors. You know, they play really, really hard. They're relentless that way. You know, we relied on those guys a lot. Especially in the second half on the glass. They've had some big putbacks, some big second chance opportunities. Evan really not got into any rhythm. You know, he had the foul issues. He just couldn't get it going, but he handled it pretty well. You know, we were subbing him and CJ out for offense, defense down the stretch, trying to save Evan as best we could. And then, you know, Donnie Tillman showed some of his ability, but he missed a couple bunnies that, you know, could have been very costly.
Hey, Chris, I'm curious how much of what they did tonight, obviously they have talent. You could see that, and they had some players that were really good, I thought. But I'm curious how much of their competitiveness as a coach could you tell was, you know, game 6 for a team as opposed to game 1? They just looked like a team that, you know, they didn't have any rust at all. And how much of it was just that they'd kind of gone through this 5 or 6 times already?
I'm sure to some degree. How much, you know, I don't know. But definitely, you know, they've been practicing longer than us, and they, like you said, had 5 games under their belt, and they were 5-0. And this was the Super Bowl for them, you know, because of COVID and the 2020 basketball season. Who knows? There may be other teams that are going into non-D1 gyms and playing. We're in a unique situation. You know, we can't complain about too much. We've got to take the games when we can get them and where we can get them. But I don't know how much that had to do with it. You know, I still was confident going in that, you know, we're going to figure out a way to play well and win the game. And then in the end, you know, we had to make some plays. We had to make some plays. Unfortunately, we did. But otherwise, I think the mood in this press conference, and certainly the mood within our organization, would be much different right now.
Coach, it seemed like CJ really got it going there in the second half. You mentioned depth being a big focal point for the team, especially with Kalen Williams' injury. Just how much are you going to need performances like that out of him off the bench?
Yeah, he showed his spurt ability. He showed his athleticism and burst. We just need him to be more consistent, especially on the defensive end. He's not as consistent as we need him to be. It's a work in progress, but he's got ability. He's had ability his whole life. I mean, there's a reason that he was a high-ranking kid coming up the high school and AAU circles, and he just hasn't really been able to get it on the floor yet. And like you mentioned, because of our situation right now, he's a guy that has to give us quality minutes almost every night because we just have depth issues. I mean, anyone that paid close attention to the game, it's very apparent that we have depth issues, and it's real, and they're going to be there for quite some time. So the guys that do play need to play well, and for them, they should be like, "Hey, I'm going to play." It's not one of those things where we've got a ton of competition. They got to be mature about it, but they should feel pretty good knowing going to the game they're going to get pretty quality minutes because of our situation.
Coach, do you like the short turnaround? I guess I know it wasn't originally planned like that, but after tonight's performance, are you guys excited that, one practice day and then you get back out there?
I'm sure the players are. I'm not certain how excited I am about it. I wouldn't mind having 3-4 days of old school practices and using our film to the advantage that we have right now, but that's not the case. So again, I'm sure they're very thrilled that they don't have to hear about this for 24 hours and then we play another game. But I say that with a little bit of tongue in cheek because, we've got to learn from it. In a week, this will be forgotten. It's going to be way bigger games, more meaningful games. And the next week, there's going to be more. We've just got to take advantage of it as a team and a program. And I think we'll have their attention for the next 24 hours. But there's a part of me that, I'm not going to lie to you, that is glad that we're playing again. I kind of want to get that taste out of my mouth too. And we need to play games. Bottom line is we need to compete. We need to play games. Everybody's tired of watching the games on TV and we're not a part of it. We want to join the party, if you will, and be a part of college basketball. And we are now. We're going to get another chance Tuesday, and we're working diligently behind the scenes to try to get a game this weekend. And, I asked Coach Miller as soon as I got on the bus, I go, I bet your phone's burning up. People see that score, they'll be dying to play us. And so I'm sure we'll get some phone calls here in the next few hours to see if we're available. But, again, I think the turnaround for them will be good and maybe for us as well. But we got to play games.
Coach, is the requirement also to have Benedictine take 2 sets of tests as well? I know that was the case with this game.
Yeah, just one with the Tuesday. They tested 3 times last week in preparation for the Grand Canyon game. So they had been through it 3 times leading up to that tip Saturday night. And then with the quick turnaround, they'll just be testing the 1 time before we play them Tuesday night.
You said a quick turnaround, but what's going to be the main focus going into Tuesday?
I haven't looked at it at all yet. It's going to be about us. We're really going to take, and the reality of it is, we're not going to practice for 2.5 hours tomorrow. We're going to have multiple film sessions. We'll certainly practice. And we've got to learn in the video room, which I'm a big proponent of. Hopefully our kids will have the same mentality as I do. I think they will. I'm hopeful they will. But in terms of have an understanding of who we're facing, I'll get up to speed in the morning before we get on the floor tomorrow afternoon.
What is the difference between film from a scrimmage a week ago and basically now you can really break down some film of an opponent, of another team? Is tomorrow going to be, from a tone perspective, you've been through this enough where sometimes you guys have good games and bad games. So I don't know if you approach this any differently than a win or a loss, or if it's all business for you. Like, what's tomorrow's film session, I guess, going to be like, and how much is it better than just a scrimmage film?
It's way better. Because in scrimmages, you can stop the game. You can stop the scrimmage and just blow your whistle and walk on the court, and the refs look at you like, do your thing, coach. It's just different. The coach can't stop it. You're out of control. It's out of your control. But what the mood's going to be is I really don't know. Like, I know they made some really tough shots down the stretch. I know that. Okay. And you guys know me well enough. We're not going to make excuses. They played well. They were competitive. They would have beat, a lot of Division I teams tonight, in my opinion. That guard, we had a heck of a time keeping him out of the paint. He was really good. Number 5, we knew. I was talking about the point guard, but number 5 going in the game, Kyle, he had the gaudy numbers, and we respected him going in. And Clayton did a good job on him. I still think he got 16 on 14 shots. But the mood of the film, to be honest with you, Jeff, will be more determinant of how we looked on video. I got a lot of stuff going on during the game. I mean, most coaches will, got to see the film, and I love film, and I can't wait to watch it. But I think I'll try to be even keeled about it and just dissect it to see how well we were productive or not on certain possessions, et cetera. And it'll be individually as well. I already know some guys just didn't play well. We had some guys not have good performances, and but it'll be an important session. It'll be an important opportunity to learn and grow and get better, and we need that. Every team talks about it. You'd have a couple by now. Even if we start November 25th, you'd have a couple prior to that. Closed door exhibitions, what have you, where you can learn and grow and get all. We had a lane violation. We stepped out of bounds twice. We did some really silly things that impact the outcome of the game. So we need it, and I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully they are too.
And this will be the first film session for some of these guys that I don't want to say first film session ever. I don't mean it like that, but this will be the first real one with you for a few of these guys. And I guess you'll learn how they respond to it as much as they might learn, for their first film session from you, I guess. There's some kind of.
We've had some real ones already, just based on our practices. We watch film almost every day of practice from the previous state and break it down, good, bad, and ugly. So they got a pretty good idea. Maybe not as many. We're not, practices. You can have 5 clips to 15, 18 maybe. Certainly tomorrow there'll be a lot more. We may have to break up the sessions into 2 separate sessions because you don't want them to lose their focus, et cetera, if you're in there too long. But it'll be different just because it'll be game footage, for some of them.
Coach, a career high in points for Clayton Henry. Just what do you think is different from this version of Clayton Henry compared to the one that we saw 2 years ago in his junior season?
He's just more experienced. He's older. He's hungry. He had to sit out last year, and I love him. I mean, I don't know how much I've said about him and on all these press conferences, Zooms, interviews, but I know I've made mention of it that he's going to be relied on. He looked really good before he got hurt last year. He was going to have a really good year. Okay. And it was crushing when he went down because he was practicing at a high level, and he's taken it to new heights now. He's got more experience. When you sit out through an injury like that and you're smart and you're focused and you learn, you can really have a positive effect on your future. And he's done that. I just love having him out there because I know what we're going to get. And he's in elite condition for November, whatever day it is, 29th, elite. And he wins a lot of our sprints. He works, he guards. I point him out all the time in film, what to do. Do it like him, okay? Film or live in practice. And, you guys know coaches. I mean, there's nothing like knowing what you're getting from someone, and I expect him to do that all year long. I'm not saying he's going to make every shot, but I expect him to be on the glass. I expect him to guard other people's best players. I expect him to be relentless. I expect him to get people organized. And he knows that. I know that. The team relies on him, and it's nice to have him out there for sure.
Chris, 2 weeks ago, you said you guys were relieved. There was a bounce in their step to be practicing all together. Now you got your feet wet with your first game. How much more is there a little bit of relief that you finally got your feet wet with a full game?
I was relieved when the buzzer sounded and we won, to be honest with you. I had some interesting thoughts there in the last 3-4 minutes that went through my head very quickly. But it felt great. It felt great to be out there. It felt great to have the energy and shoot around, that we haven't had. Well, we had it the other day, but it was short-lived when the game got canceled, a few hours before the game was supposed to be played. But it felt good to be out there. It felt good to hear the chatter of the guys and the camaraderie. And, one positive was down the stretch, our huddles were good. The kids had good talk with one another. There was encouraging talk. There was leadership. So I thought that was a really good sign. There wasn't any panic in them. Again, we have some older guys. And like I said, I just think we're going to learn so much. We're going to learn so much from this game and this opportunity. And I don't want to be remiss if I don't keep pounding it that, a lot of credit needs to go to their staff and their players. They were ready. They competed and they executed. I mean, they ran some late game plays and they ran it really well and put their players in position to be successful. And I'm going to watch them all year long. And I think they're going to win a lot of games.
All right. Anything else for Coach Jans tonight, guys?
Yeah, one more, Charlie. Sorry.
No, you're good.
No worries.
Chris, down the stretch, Donnie Tillman, when he got touches, it seemed like he got to the rack a lot. What were you seeing out of that veteran, down the stretch?
It's pretty easy to see his athleticism and his body, right? Just the rawness of him. He missed 2 huge bunnies. Right at the rim. He's got to make those, and I think he will, more often than not. He missed the free throws, and he got the second chance and missed that one. And then he didn't rebound the ball. He didn't rebound the ball like he's capable of. And that's on me. I have not developed that habit in him well enough. Like if we were talking as a staff on the way back in the bus, I'm like, can you imagine if Donnie attacked the glass like Jabari or Clayton does, like with his body and his bounce? And that's on me. I've had him long enough where I haven't got him, mentally conditioned well enough to go every time. But if he can get that going, he'll be a force. He'll be a force because he's physical. He's physical, and we just got to get him to be more aggressive more often.
Hey, Chris, you mentioned something there that it reminded me. I wanted to ask you about Jabari and those offensive rebounds and his attacking on the offensive board. Is that, I don't know what his career numbers are, what his highs are on offensive boards, but I can't imagine he's had a lot of 6s. Is that by design in that you're telling him to attack the offensive glass more, or is that just opened up tonight and he decided to do that?
No, it's a number of things. One, when he first started scratching the surface around here of being a guy that was going to play for us, right? His freshman year, his redshirt freshman year, that's what he did best. I have made comments, you're not in every one of these, obviously, about him rebounding like Jamario Jones. And he did. When he first got here, he was relentless. He was like Jamario, he just wasn't as tall, but same body frame, same relentless pursuit of the ball. And then, over time, I've nudged him a few times, especially recently, like, you forgot where you came from. You were all about the glass and all about the second chances. And, his game's expanded and he scores more now in different ways. And he's matured as an offensive player. And so I think he sometimes, forgets that he can attack the glass. And when we needed him to do it most, he did it tonight, but it's really nice to have guards that can rebound like that. And I expect, them to not to get 6 or 8 or 9, whatever they got combined every night, but I expect them to go quite often and to give us some second chance opportunities. But he's capable of doing it. He's capable of doing it for sure.
That was the most Jamario glimpse I've seen since Jamario. At least for a little bit there, the way he was just kind of being relentless on the offensive end, I hadn't seen that before. So I was surprised by that.
He's capable of it. I've seen it many times in our practices, and then when he was a younger player, just to get in the game.
Coach, you said down the stretch you heard some good talking from your older guys. Was he one of those guys that was really stepping up and showing leadership down the stretch?
He was good. We had a lot of guys that were good, and he was one of them. Anything else? Hey, this whole relocation. I'm not used to this many people in the post press conference, so this is a neat feel. It's kind of nice to have a little time to reflect upon the game before you get bombarded with questions, though. You're not quite as emotional. Something good.
All right.
Am I done?
Deal.
Yeah, thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Coach.